Hey everybody, welcome back to our month on mindfulness. We hear the word mindfulness everywhere we go, and it may be a little embarrassing to say, what exactly is it? Well, the fact is, there's a lot of dispute over what exactly mindfulness is. But the way I'm talking about mindfulness, it's an increased awareness of the present moment. We become focused and attentive on the now. The way that we achieve that is often through meditation, but also through our senses as well. So we could do a body scan, we can do a meditation on our breath, or we can do something like a mindfulness practice of drinking tea or mindful eating. Even having a walk in nature can be a mindful practice, or even watching the clouds go by. As long as we are attentive to the clouds, to the present moment, rather than focusing on what's going to happen in the future or ruminating about the past, then we're being mindful and being present. Mindfulness originates from Buddhist practices, but it has been extracted in the West to be a standalone practice. If you've watched my video on Rooked by a Crook, you know to be a little bit suspicious of taking a spiritual practice out of context. And I'll talk more about that next time. But we can use meditative practices, or we can use psychotherapeutic practices, or we can focus on our senses in order to achieve greater awareness of the present moment. You might wonder why we even bothered doing this thing called mindfulness. Well, it was popularized in the West outside of the context of Buddhism as a stress reduction program. And of course, that became a way to treat cardiac problems. It does reduce stress. It has also been shown to decrease fatigue, insomnia, and inflammation, which can lead to a whole host of other problems. In terms of mental health, it decreases in most people depression, decreases in most people anxiety, and leads to a greater sense of well-being. So these benefits are a really good reason to want to practice mindfulness, but it also helps us to short-circuit the reaction from events in our lives and the way we react to them. By being mindful, we are able to be aware of our thoughts and our feelings as they arise in the moment, and then to separate ourselves from those thoughts and feelings so that we can choose our response much more carefully. We do this by becoming the observer of our thoughts and our emotions rather than being carried away as a participant in them. And so that's why in a lot of mindful meditations, you'll hear people talk about just letting a thought arise, noticing it, and letting it float by on the waves of the breath or float by on the clouds, whatever image people will use. If you sit in meditation for any length of time, you will become aware of just how many thoughts you have every minute. And so the idea is that we don't ignore our thoughts and we don't suppress our emotions. We notice them and we allow them to just float away as we still the mind. Once we're able to still the mind, we have much more control over how we respond rather than being reactive in the moment. We do this by noticing what arises when we sit in meditation or we focus on something, whether that's maybe artwork or going for a walk in nature and focusing on our surroundings. What thoughts and emotions arise can be a very interesting practice to observe. And the suggestion with mindfulness is that we cultivate an attitude of curiosity rather than judgment for whatever comes up. With that curiosity and ability to accept what comes up, we become more authentic. And in fact, we develop a sense of equanimity or peace. If you're like me, then you are used to getting caught up in planning for the future or ruminating about the past. And so a little bit of mindfulness goes a long way. And we start very small with the 1-minute mindfulness meditation, just focusing on the breath and becoming much more aware of our breathing. Over time, as we practice, we become much more able to be the observer in every moment. And you might wonder, well, why are we doing this on this channel? And I think I've said elsewhere that in order to be grateful, we need to be able to notice the things that are good in our lives. And so with that in mind, it's helpful to be much more present in the current moment. Mindfulness is one way to get there. Also, if mindfulness brings us a sense of equanimity, then it's a gateway to joy. And of course, if we want to be of service, then being able to notice where we're needed is really helpful, and mindfulness will help us to be attentive to that. And of course, mindfulness often leads us to a real awareness of our oneness. Mindfulness is a simple concept, but it does take practice. If you're looking for other meditations or further information on mindfulness, the real granddaddy of mindfulness extracted from the Buddhist context is Jon Kabat-Zinn, and you'll find him all over the internet. Of course, there's many resources for mindfulness out there, and I'll leave some links in the description box so that you can delve into it further. But that's just a sampler, and I hope that you will, if you're interested, explore for yourself. I hope that you're enjoying the exercises I've laid out for you in this month's calendar. If you haven't got the calendar, then I'll leave a link in the description box where you can download it. If you're part of my email list, then you'll have been receiving emails about additional types of practices within the mindfulness context that you might want to follow. You can also sign up for my email list with the link in the description box that I'll provide below. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of this month of mindfulness and that you'll continue to practice being more aware and attentive to the moment. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos in this series, click subscribe. For what are you most grateful today?